Let me tell you something. The biggest threat to your portfolio, it's not a market crash and it's not some faulty algorithm. No, it's a cognitive flaw. It's an unseen enemy that's right inside your own mind, quietly sabotaging every financial decision you make.
So, what if those huge losses you've taken weren't just bad luck? What if it wasn't even your analysis that was wrong? What if the very force that inflates market bubbles and triggers those catastrophic crashes is the exact same force that's hardwired into your brain? And what if, until you finally see it and learn to control it, you will never, and I mean never, achieve consistent professional results? Well, this enemy has a name. It's called herd instinct. Now, for the average investor, this is just some invisible force that pushes them towards one bad decision after another. But for a professional operator, understanding this instinct is the absolute key to capitalizing on the market's predictable irrationality.
Let's be crystal clear about what this is. Herd instinct is not a strategy. It's a behavioral flaw. It's where you essentially outsource your thinking to the emotional whims of the crowd. You stop analyzing and you start following, because you assume the majority must know something you don't. And that right there is a fatal assumption in this business.
Look, this isn't some simple failure of willpower, so don't beat yourself up. It's actually an evolutionary feature. For literally millennia, sticking with the group meant survival. If everyone started running, you ran too. You didn't stop to ask why. Questioning the consensus could get you killed. The problem is, in today's market, that exact same survival instinct gets your portfolio killed.
So how do you diagnose this in yourself? It's pretty simple, actually. Before you place your next trade, I want you to stop and ask yourself these questions and be honest. Am I making this decision because my analysis supports it, or am I just doing it because everyone else is? Do I feel this emotional pull, this pressure to conform? Does this trade actually align with my documented goals? Your answers are going to reveal everything about whether you're operating with a process or you're simply reacting to the noise. Okay, so if this instinct is so damaging, why on earth is it so hard to resist? Well, it's because our brains are literally wired to make going against the crowd psychologically painful. It feels fundamentally wrong, even when it's analytically right. Now just think about that for a second. Resisting the urge to follow the herd can trigger a genuine physical pain response in your brain. Your mind is literally screaming at you to conform, to get back to safety. This is the biological hurdle that you have to overcome to become a successful operator. And just look at the specific emotions that are at play here. You've got FOMO, the fear of missing out, pulling you into rallies right at the peak. You've got panic, pushing you to sell at the absolute bottom, this desire for social conformity, the fear of being wrong all by yourself. These are not the inputs of a professional. They are the raw, undisciplined impulses of the herd. And this psychological pain, well, it leads directly to financial pain. Let's take a look at the real world, dollars and cents cost of following the stampede. The pattern is just brutally consistent. I mean, from dot-com stocks with zero revenue to meme stocks with completely failing fundamentals, the herd piles in driven by pure hype. They create the bubble. And when it inevitably bursts, guess who's left holding the bag? They are. The names change, but the result is always the same.
Let's just use a recent, really concrete example. Bed Bath & Beyond, okay? The company's financials were weak, the business model was failing, but a story, a narrative took hold online, and the herd just stampeded in, completely detached from any kind of reality.
And here's what that looks like. The price spikes, just dramatically. This is where the herd buys, right at the top, driven by pure FOMO. And then the crash. The fundamentals always win. And the herd is left with catastrophic losses, while the operators who ignored all that noise either just stood aside or, frankly, profited from the irrationality. So, this brings us to a really critical choice. There are two paths. You can continue down the path of the herd, driven by emotion, chasing noise, a path that's just destined for inconsistent results and the same repeated mistakes. Or you can choose the path of the operator, a path defined by a systematic, repeatable process.
And this brings us to the solution. See, the antidote to herd instinct isn't just more willpower. It's a superior process. This is the STOA framework. It stands for Structured Trading Operating Architecture.
This is the architecture. First, defining your goals becomes your anchor in the storm. Second, conducting independent analysis, that's what builds your conviction. Third, Operating alone becomes a strategic advantage, not a fear. Fourth, you evaluate with rational data, not with gut feelings. And fifth, you execute your plan with mechanical discipline. This is not just some list of rules. It's a complete system designed to insulate you from the herd.
So we've identified the enemy, we have seen the incredible damage it causes, and we've laid out the playbook to defeat it. Now it really just comes down to a choice.
And make no mistake, trading is a psychological war. The herd goes into that battle completely unarmed, driven by instincts that are perfectly designed for failure. An operator, on the other hand, enters with a process, a system that serves as both their weapon and their armor.
So I'm going to ask you directly, are you content with being swept away by the emotional tides of the market? Or are you finally ready to take control, to execute with clarity, and to operate on your own terms? If you've made it this far, you're not just curious, you're serious, and that is exactly who STOA was built for. So here's the deal. We don't accept everyone. We run on an application-only system because, frankly, we only work with people who are ready to operate at the next level. So if you want to stop wasting hours chasing noise and instead run a proven, documented process that gets real results in less than 90 minutes a day, you should apply now. There are limited seats available, and once they're filled for the quarter, they're gone. Click the link in the description, fill out the short application, and let's see if you're a fit. If you're watching this, my guess is you already know you should.